and 101.9 The K.
The game is final.
Finally.
I was waiting to say, thank God.
Lord.
It is
You know, little inside baseball here. So we have this thing on our live video stream where we set the time that the broadcast can begin, and I reset the thing 3 times.
It was quite the half, John Bishop. How are you tonight?
Hey, listen, Nick. This is the end of your chunk.
It is,
as we've called it, the Hanley chunk.
Yeah.
And we started it with a win, and we're going to end it with a win. And like they say in the NFL, never apologize for a win.
You're damn right.
It's Victory Friday, everybody.
That is right. Victory Friday. We get to go on your weekend, go to the pumpkin patches, do whatever the hell you want to forget about this game. But the bottom line is Nebraska is going into the bye week as a 500 football club. I know it's hard. It's hard to imagine after what we just saw there in the second half. Oh my! And defense. Hey, defense was good. Defense was very good. Wow. I mean,
man, that was brutal. It was just. I mean, if we didn't have skin in this game, I'd have turned this damn thing off a long time ago. I'd have been like, I'm not even interested. I was begging for some baseball or an FCS game or anything. I mean, God. But I mean, the first half, things went really well in the first half.
Yep.
But again, we don't apologize for wins.
No, that's right. And Nebraska's going to a bye week. It's a banged up team. We'll get into all of that.
Yeah.
Big Red Overreaction brought to you by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. So it is final 20-7. At some point, we did think that this game might even get into the 30s with the amount of opportunities. But again, a lot of mistakes on both sides for Nebraska and Illinois. It was not how you would want to put together some type of football instructional video on how to run an offense. I think we could say that for both sides, both offensive coordinators. Not their best night. We'll just say.
I mean, here's your drive chart, kids, for the third quarter. Punt, field goal, and that came off a turnover, so they had the short field, but couldn't get it. Missed field goal, and then fumble, interception, fumble, and then of course the knees to end the half. And then for Illinois, their drives, second half drives, they only had 6. Fumble, punt, downs, punt, interception, downs.
Yep.
It was
stellar.
Really, really good. But I'll tell you, Nick, the thing I'm taking away from this, and first off, here's the other thing. This is the first time since 16 that Nebraska's going into a bye off a win.
Yep.
They have not gone into the bye week with a win since Mike Riley during that 7-game winning streak. So that's the good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot to work on, obviously. But one of my big takeaways out of this is this quarterback battle has just opened wide. There's going to be some serious consideration to giving Jeff Sims another go here in a couple of weeks, and because I know a lot of folks are going to say, well, but it's the offense. The scheme's not good. The running game's not good. Harburg can still run. And this is not me saying that Harburg is finished and he shouldn't play again. But I have been of the opinion, Nick, since this injury and since Harburg went in, this is probably going to be a 2-quarterback system of some kind. We're going to see, different guys maybe based on different matchups. And now with this bye week coming up and Sims getting healthier, and it's just the way that Matt Rule talks about Sims, and we'll see. I'm sure he's going to be asked about it here in the post-game press conference that we'll have for you here coming up. But they've got 2 weeks here to really kind of rehash the quarterback battle again. And I'll make the shot. I'll call the shot right now. We will see Jeff Sims against Northwestern.
I think so too.
It is Northwestern, right?
It is Northwestern. Yep.
Okay, thank you. We will see Jeff Sims against Northwestern.
I think there's a very good shot at that as well. And I thought if there was a time to bring Jeff Sims in. I know some people were kind of pointing to tonight saying we might see Jeff Sims tonight. I didn't think we would. I thought if you've waited this long, especially with the injury, what is another 4 quarters? Unless this thing got completely out of hand or, Heinrich Harburg was a dumpster fire early on, that okay, maybe. But I felt like you want to get more time, be able to first and foremost get him as healthy as he's possibly going to be, gaining yourself more time there, and also having a chance to kind of go back to the lab a little bit. And I know there's going to be some people that are kind of snickering about that, of the lab with the offense right now, but still having a little extra time, prepare for a Northwestern team that's going to be so. I mean, hey, they're a team that's putting up a fight, but that's about as much as you can say about them right now, and be able to kind of address how you want to attack the second half of the season. So I don't think it's crazy. And we saw the mistakes there towards the end with Heinrich Harburg too, for a guy who had taken care of the ball so well. That was not a pleasant sight to see there. I mean, it was one of many real ugly moments in the second half of this football game.
And Nick, let's face it, some of those completions in the first half against a better defense, against Iowa, there's probably at least 2 more interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the pass that he threw to Ty Hahn in the first half, that thing hung up in the air like a punt. And, a team that, I mean, last year's Illinois secondary with those pro guys, probably coming back the other way.
Yep.
And again, I'm not dogpiling here. I'm not trying to make it sound like the reason why this game looked so clunky in the second half was because of Harburg. But I wasn't feeling great about, necessarily some of the throws he was making in the first half to start with. But if this team is going to get those final 3 wins that it needs to get to a bowl game, the offense has to look better than it did tonight, because you'll meet better defenses down the road. You're going to be on the road for, Michigan State. Who knows how that thing's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so I believe that you can't just be satisfied with, well, we have a quarterback that won't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Well, as we've seen, Harburg can turn it over too. You need to find somebody that can give this team a little bit of a spark, because right now it is challenged in the running back run game. We saw Grant go down in the fourth quarter. He did come back. Unfortunately, he fumbled. But you never know what his health situation is going to be like. This is a team that's got to find a way to generate some kind of offense. And if it requires, a little shot in the arm with a quarterback change, don't be surprised if it happens, because I think it's going to, and I think it probably needs to at some point, whether it's next week or down the road. I think you're going to find some times where you're going to need some matchups. And Sims is a better passer. I mean, he's been more polished. He's been through the battles in the Power 5. And at some point, if Nebraska is going to have to rely on the passing game to move the ball, I think Sims is still probably your better option, because he's got the experience in doing it. So, this will be a real interesting next couple of weeks, and the conversations are going to get louder and louder here as we get closer to next week. The good news is, though, they do have the win, but man, there's some questions.
I believe we do have Matt Rule, so we are going to go to Matt Rule, and everybody waiting on hold, we're going to get to you, but here is the head coach, Matt Rule, speaking after Nebraska's 20-7 victory over Illinois.
Guys, when the mistake happened, guys were owning it. There's some really good defensive players on that football team that we just faced, on that side. And I thought for the most part, we had good protection. So I think we're a tough, resilient bunch. We didn't like the way we played last week. We battled here, and when it got easy, when it was going well, we didn't just relax. Again, I'd like to clean some things up, but I thought they attacked.
Coach, that first drive, what kind of message did that send the way you held the goal on 2 plays really inside of that line?
I thought those were phenomenal plays. I can't wait to see the film, because you guys probably have a better view of what happened than I do. And what was interesting about it was, last week, Michigan had always had like an explosive play. And so when they kind of methodically went down the field, you could feel our guys almost like, oh, geez. And we told them Illinois has started with the ball in every game, I believe. And they've gone down the field and either scored or missed a field goal, I think, in 4 of the 5. So they did what they planned to do. And I thought our guys held. And to do that, and then to come out and to hit Marcus Washington on that big pass the way we did. Unfortunately, Marcus went down, obviously right after that. But to me, to have a 99-yard drive, even just to kick a field goal, that was a heck of a start for us. And I really believe that's kind of what we needed, that resilient beginning.
When it was 3-0, you went for the 4th and 5, and then there was that 3rd and 10 conversion to Ty Hunt. Do you speak to that sequence and your decision to go for it there?
Yeah, we were going to go for him as many as possible until it got down inside the 20. It was really, really, a wind factor in this game, right? Going this way, the wind. Illinois made the decision to take the wind in the 3rd quarter to get back into the game. So in the 4th quarter, we hoped that the wind would affect them. It kind of died down as they said it would during the game. But yeah, we knew we were going to go for it. Heinrich made an unbelievable play. Some guys stepped up. Ty stepped up. Malachi stepped up. And then, they ran to cover 2 on a play that was a man beater, and he found Ty Hahn. A million years you'd never draw up that he'd hit Ty Hahn down the sideline. Ty made a catch. So I thought we had a bunch of guys, Bullock, him, they all made great catches. And so, it's kind of our process, just keep sticking with these guys, and they stick with themselves. All of a sudden they start making some plays. They're going to get off that bus tonight knowing they're good football players.
I know there's a lot going on. Game's complicated. Can you assess Heinrich? What do you think of what that picture looked like to you?
That was excellent. Yeah. I mean, I told him I want to coach him. I'm going to coach him like, I would coach a really good one. I mean, he stepped out of bounds on that one down the goal line when he could have gotten another first down. I mean, I went after him in the middle of the game because you know what? Just like last week when I put my arm around him and said, hey, we're going to coach you through it, I went after him there. I was really, really upset with the officials tonight, and I never talk about officiating, but I just want to make sure I defend my team. That team for the 2nd week in a row, that team came out and was just yelling, move and stem. You're not supposed to be able to do that. As far as I know, I called the league. They say you can't do that. So we're not a sloppy team. Okay, we're not a sloppy team. That was, that is not football to me. And I'm not faulting Illinois for doing it. If they say you can do it, you can do it. But, after about the 3rd or 4th time, I was like, at what point are we going to figure out, guys? Every 3rd and 1/4 one, they're yelling, move, go. And we're, our guys are just trying to play football. They're yelling move and stem, and the D-line's stemming. And, if that's legal, I guess it's a set. I've asked if it's legal. Maybe it is, I don't know. But I just want to make sure I defend my guys. So I'm not criticizing the officials as much as I'm saying, they weren't just jumping off sides. They were hearing the cadence, and we're sitting down already, and they're yelling move, and we're jumping. So I thought Heinrich handled a lot of things. Sometimes he gets a little bit tired to maintain his conditioning. Probably some plays he'd love to get back, but he made the big plays when we needed them to. And, the way they played, they were bringing the safety, they're bringing the corner pretty much every play. He did some nice things in the run game.
What were your defenders saying after the fumble, the 4th down, and all those things? What were they saying to you? Like, if you can sanitize that, but when they were going back out on the field.
MJ said it before the game. The scoreboard is going to be 0-0 the whole game. Kind of what I said. Like our guys, people might not like me saying this. Our guys, they hear what everyone says about them, and they worry about what people say. I've said it week after week. So it's not like I'm even in wins. And I just kept saying, like, at some point you're going to play in the games the way you play at practice, when there's no fear of what people are going to say or if you make a mistake. And so instead of just worrying about winning, they just wanted to keep taking the field. They're like, we got this. Let's go. Let's play again. Like RDV, like Sunday night. They just kept saying, like, play like Sunday night, play like Sunday night. So, when I got in a couple times, like, hey, and they're like, we got this. like basically get your ass out of here. And, but that was Jamari tonight. That was awesome. That was all those guys tonight. And, they can play better, obviously, to give up that one touchdown, but it's pretty good, Big Ten football to hold a team to 7 points on the road, and they're in no huddle the whole game trying to get going. So that was pretty good by us.
That first touchdown drive, before the 4th and 5, they converted. Heinrich's 3rd and 5 pass got batted down at the line of scrimmage. So what kind of confidence do you think that sends to him? Then go back out there and go for it. And the fact that he gets it and getting a touchdown is something that builds a lot of momentum.
Yeah, I think so. Plays kind of run together for me after the games. I think he was trying to throw a slant to Thomas on the backside. We really wanted to incorporate Fedoni into the game, and he had to get great catch. We could have had a couple more maybe, but Heinrich's getting better every day, and we do have to continue to work on him finding windows and getting in between windows, and because he does kind of throw it from a little bit further down here, like a lot of quarterbacks do, but. We were going to go. We told them on Monday, hey, we're going 4 downs when we cross the 50 until it's down inside the 20 and it's, a gimme field goal. So we knew that's the way we were going to play. Defense wanted to play that way. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is when the defense is over there knowing that you going for it on 4th down, or you faking a field goal, or you running a surprise on sides, going back to last year, right? That it's actually confidence in the defense. When the defense wants it, it changes the mood. And so we're not going to be outcome based. We're not going to sit there and be like, oh, it didn't work. It must have been a bad call. We're going to call it and rock out and see what happens. And the defense wanted to play that way.
Short kickoff that you had that Elmano recovered
That was a deep kick. That was just the wind was so bad out there. Like, I mean, the wind was really something. That was a deep kick that just kind of got hung up, and Grant Taggy, I think, went down there and got it because at first they signaled they had it and shoved it in my gut. I think they were just excited to play. They were really excited to play, and to make that play plus the block. I didn't even see the block. I was turned around and I heard, didn't capitalize on enough of those. Could have been a better game, but again, we're the same team as we were last week. We're just a work in progress, and I'm glad to see the guys have a little success in this work in progress, and they've got to just continue to have that humble mindset of like, let's get better this week.
You mentioned that the team is going to walk off the bus when they get home to Lincoln. Maybe a different team. How much did you need this tonight to maybe prove that the process is working? Yeah,
I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I know what we're doing works.
No, that's to your guys.
They're 100% bought in. They really are. I mean, I'm shocked. Honestly, I'm shocked. Like, I kind of like, and this isn't about me. When I say that, it's not about me. It's them. Like when I sit there with Ty Robinson, he's like, man, I think I told this to you guys the other day. Like, he's like, man, I'm so jealous. These young guys be part of this. Like, working hard is never a punishment, and grinding this week is never punishment. I'm just happy they got some success from this week so that I could sit there and say, hey, was Sunday worth it? Kind of like, not I told you so, but I told you so. And because they were a better team than they were last. We were better than we were last Saturday, but we weren't, which doesn't matter. So tonight, and then, let's just say they came down, they scored, and they would have won that game. It'd been Minnesota all over again, right? Well, no, we're getting better. We're a better football team. I'm just glad they had the results. So we're 3-3. We're going to hit the bye week. We're going to come out each week. We're going to play each week. It's not going to be perfect. I just really hope people, instead of like just jumping ahead to like what we're going to be and all this, I just hope they kind of enjoy this ride. Coach Riley, Pat Riley calls it the innocent climb. You know how bad Emmett Johnson felt after he fumbled that ball and he came over to me, like looking at me, and I was like, nobody cares. Let's keep playing. Like, now we do care, but this is like this innocent climb where these kids are just out there giving their all for this, And so, yeah, sometimes we line up wrong, and sometimes we have 12 guys. So that, it's not perfect. It can be a little bit frustrating, but it's a beautiful phase watching young people do something, learn how to win and fight for each other. And that's what you saw tonight. I will say this, Sam, because you asked me. I got in for the defense. I said, hey, do you guys love AG? They're like, yeah, we love AG. I said, he needs you guys right now. He just fumbled his football. Like, he needs you guys right now. And that's when they told me to get out of the huddle. We got this. So we got special guys really, really, really care about him. It was his knee. Nothing beyond that. So they'll MRI him, I'm sure, tomorrow. I have no idea, absolutely no idea. He was in a lot of pain when I went over there, but, him and I walked off arm in arm. He was captain tonight. So he was pretty fired up. So we'll have hopefully an MRI update. I think I'd meet with you guys on Monday, Tuesday, something like that. So we'll see, but I hope he's okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Here's head coach Matt Rule speaking after Nebraska's 20-7 victory. And, Johnny, I think it was an interesting, I don't want to say a major spin, but just his perspective compared to, how we all saw the second half. Sometimes we do forget that this is a team, this is a program that is learning how to win games like that. And as you said, you never apologize about an ugly win, a pretty win, whatever the case is. A win is a win, and especially for this program that is trying to inch ever so closer to bowl eligibility. That was the tone I got from Matt Rule, first and foremost.
Oh, absolutely. No question. He's, that's the thing. If maybe in a year 2 or year 3, when the program's further along and more developed, he probably has a different tone, but he knows the situation that he's got. He knows that the players that he's got, Matt Rule has done a great job of being able to message through the media so far. He messaged through the media all the way back in August when Anthony Grant had the fumble issue, right? And I know some folks, thought that he was being put in the doghouse. Well, he wasn't, obviously. He got onto the field. They let him play. And then after he had the fumble against Minnesota, he missed a game, but then he came right back. He's become the number one guy. And you heard what he said there about Anthony Grant, about how the guys came over and picked him up. He messaged through the media list last week when he talked about, hey, you're going to find out who we are. Mm-hmm. The thing, he is very aware of the things that he says his players hear. Now, there are things he's probably telling his players in private that we obviously aren't privy to, which is perfectly fine. But he has done a good job of, understanding that this is very much a work in progress. So to go in there, guns a-blazing, because we've heard some coaches in the past who were very upset about ugly performances, even if it ended up in a win.
Yeah.
But he wasn't going to do that. So I'm not really surprised by anything that I heard. He'll rip into the guys when he needs to, but he'll do it in private. And it's when you'll know when he feels really comfortable about the situation, when he starts to use some of the more aggressive tone in ugly games like this to the media. That's when you'll know kind of a switch has flipped. And now he's got a team that he feels more comfortable riding a little bit harder. But he knows at this juncture of this build, coming off the hard game that was last week and some of the negativity that has been swirling, heck, even going back to the Minnesota game, that this wasn't the time to drop the hammer on his team. And he wasn't going to do that. But trust me, they'll work on the things they need to work on. And, I don't disagree with his tone in this. We can take obviously a different tone if we want. Fans certainly will, and we'll get your calls here in just a minute. But no, I'm not surprised by what he said. And Matt Rule does a nice job of, messaging in the media what he needs to at this juncture of this build.
Line them up. We are going to get John and Connor and Mike and Tyler, everyone else. We are going to hit a break. We're going to come back. We're going to fire through phone calls. The Jason Contracting Hotline, 402-951-1620. Do not go anywhere. On the other side of the break, we are going to get to those phone calls. Again, Big Red Overreaction presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also brought to you by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill, and by Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. We are back with your phone calls. More reaction. Nebraska, a winner 20-7 over Illinois. It's Big Red Overreaction on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Say goodbye to summer and hello to cash loans. Let's face it, your personal banker probably won't loan you thousands of dollars today, but Saul's Jewelry and Loan will. Simply bring in your boat, camper, RV, jet ski, ATV, motorcycle, even your beautiful convertible, along with a clear title. And Saul's will loan you up to $50,000. No credit check, no hassle, and more importantly, no worries. Saul's indoor storage facility is so clean and secure, you can store your precious Harley-Davidson for the winter and pick it up next spring. So if you need a quick cash loan, Saul's is here to help.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Let's watch the game at DJ's. Nick Hanley here for my friends at DJ's Dugout. Football is in full swing. College football, pro football. Watch your favorite team at DJ's. Great food, great drinks, great service. Plus, DJ's casual, comfortable atmosphere and huge TV walls are an Omaha tradition. Let's watch the game at DJ's, Omaha's hometown iconic sports bar for 30 years. Locally and Vietnam veteran-owned with 7 metro area locations. Dig in at the Dugout.
Welcome to the After Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone.
It is the hippest and the hoppest show on 1620 The Zone.
Who is it? Rap snitches, telling all their business. Sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Round, get the whole label sent for years.
Catch After Hours 6 to 8, Monday through Friday, or as the sports schedule allows, on 1620 The Zone.
The Big Red Overreaction postgame show, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, and Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also sponsored by Dingman's Collision and Mechanical Repair on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Here we go. 4th and goal from the inside. Altmaier gives to Love. No signal yet. Official on our side of the field marked him short, and they say he is short.
As the defense set the tone right out of the gate in this one, and we'll get to the defense. Let's get to your phone calls right now here on Big Red Overreaction. I'm Nick Hanley alongside with John Bishop, and Chance Oliver is taking your calls. The Jason at Contracting Hotline at 402-951-1620. John has been waiting very patiently. Good evening, John. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction.
Hey guys, hope you're having a great night. I know I am, and I think all of Husker Nation is.
I am too. I just cracked open a nice cold Coors Light. See, the mountains are blue.
Keeping Nebraska chill.
Hell yeah.
Nice. I dug into the well enough tonight that I'm drinking Cider Patch Kids.
Oh, I've had that. It's not bad. Yeah, that's not a bad one.
Not bad. It's a one drink only.
Exactly. It would be a one beer Friday thing.
That stuff up
okay.
So before I get too far into this, there's two kind of bullet points that I just got to throw out there as disclosures. So first off, under normal times, I cuss a lot, so please have the dump button ready.
Chance is ready.
I can paint a beautiful portrait of with profanity. That is my skill. So please have that ready.
Okay.
The second thing is, thank you guys for doing this show. I've got to say, I'm not a big caller, but I am a huge listener. And you guys put together an amazing lineup Monday through Friday, 6 to 6 with when we get the overtime show. But then when you go into the real overtime, when you get into the big red overreaction, the severe reactions, you guys always close the deal. So thank you so much for that. So there's a lot tonight that can be broken down with our game, for better or worse. But one way or another, our team grew. I'm going to leave the X's and O's, that whole breakdown, to the people drunker than me. And what I want to talk about, though, is the actual growth. So my grandma, growing up, she was 4'2". That's 2 inches taller than dwarfism. Tonight, our team hit a slight growth spurt, and we're now an inch taller than Grandma Mary Jo. We can laugh, we can joke about that, but it's progress. And what I'm really hoping for now is when we sit here and we start talking about our team in December, that our team hit average height at the end of this growth spurt. We're 6-6, and we're going to a bowl game.
All right. Okay, John. I like the analogy there. We're of average.
I like the
right
fact
now.
so far you haven't swore. I mean, that's pretty good too.
Hey, that's really special for me because, to be honest with you, ask anybody that I know, and if I'm not being paid to not cuss, I usually can't string more than 6 or 7 words together without a cuss word. I texted a buddy and I told him, "Hey, I'm the first caller on Big Red Overreaction," and the first thing he said is, "Well, you probably shouldn't cuss."
Yeah. Hey, you set a good tone though, John. Did you have anything else, or is that what you wanted to get to?
No, that is it. I just want tonight to be a celebration of where the progress takes us. I don't know. I want tonight to be a celebration of that progress. We beat a team we haven't beaten in a couple of years. We beat a team that it felt like they had our number. That is the first step of progress. And I love what happened tonight. It was a rough second half. I started to wonder, what am I going to say when I called into the third quarter? Is when this game turns, what am I going to say? And I probably would have just hung up. But it was a great night. It turned for the best. So, that's all I had to say. Thank you guys so much. And I'm going to eagerly listen to the rest of the show. And I hope you're right. I hope I set a tone, and you guys have a good night with the call.
Good call.
That was
good call.
Good stuff, John. I like that. Nebraska going to the bye week at average height with the victory at 20-7 over Illinois.
Yeah, and before we get to more calls, Nick, don't misunderstand the conversation on the quarterback. And I know it may or it may not dominate the conversation tonight, but don't misunderstand that for. Yes, they won a game tonight. They beat a team they haven't beaten in 3 years or in their last 3 outings. They're going into a bye with a win for the first time since 2016. I mean, those are the more important things. We got 2 weeks to argue some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking more generally when I look ahead to the rest of the schedule. But no question, and Chance played the highlight coming out of the break. That was a huge play. I mean, to get their first red zone stop. Nebraska was 17 for 17. The opponents were scoring in the red zone. They had not stopped a team in the red zone all year. And to get them, they were less than a yard away. And for the Philly shove or the tush push or whatever you want to call it, the brotherly shove to get shoved back in their face and then to stop them on fourth down. What a great way to get that first red zone stop. really, really set the tone. And then Nebraska really with one of their best drives, really maybe their best drive of the game. It ended in a field goal to get it out from the shadow of your goalpost and get it down the field. That is a huge swing. If Illinois scores there, I don't know if we're talking about a win necessarily tonight. Because this was a game of momentum. And if Illinois got that early momentum, who knows where it would have ended up. That is a big, big play. And we may look back on that later in the season as a moment where things really turned.
Yeah, no doubt. And the fact that they did it not once but twice on 3rd and 4th down to turn them away is remarkable. And, yeah, you mentioned the drive coming up. You had the big pass play to Marcus Washington before he goes out with the unfortunate knee injury. But, yeah, it was huge. And you got the feeling right there that if at least Nebraska could take advantage after the big pass play, get some points out of this, it was kind of game on. And hey, we saw the result of that. Let's get back to the Jay Stinnett Contracting Hotline and welcome in Tyler. What's going on, Tyler? Tyler, are you still there? We lost Tyler.
There's the first one. We'll keep track on the scoreboard. There's one.
That is one. Let's go to Mike next. Mike, what's up?
Hey, good evening, guys. I don't want to good first call, good tone setter. And first and foremost, I want to say I believe in Matt Rule. I'm happy that that's the guy that we hired. And I believe, in the next year or two, he's going to get this thing turned around. However, tonight, first half, okay. Second, if we're going to speak honestly, this game should have been about 41-7. And
I agree.
I truly felt like, in that third and fourth, especially in the fourth quarter, when the turnovers, 3 straight drives, we got turnovers. You got false starts all the time. I thought for sure Illinois was going to go down, make it a 20-14 game, and somehow was going to get the ball back with a minute and a half left. And as Husker fans, we're all going to be sitting here with, our cheeks puckered, hoping to God that the defense could make a stop and have Nebraska win the game. I want to give you guys full transparency. I watched the Minnesota game. I watched the Colorado game. After the Colorado game, I haven't watched a game since then because I was so angry with how that team played. And it's just, and I called in that day as well. And I'm just going to reiterate what I kind of did. It's the offensive line, man. Those, it's, and I, all credit to Coach Rule for sticking up for his offensive linemen and saying they're not that sloppy. They are that sloppy. We've seen it. They have a track record. They are that sloppy of an offensive line, and they're not a good blocking offensive line either. And I think, Nick, you had said something about, offensively going forward, what they can build upon. I don't know how much they can really build when they don't have a really good offensive line. And I don't know when our offensive line play is going to change to where we're all of a sudden going to be, a Big Ten offensive line that can actually push people around, protect our quarterback. I don't know that it matters who we have in there at running back. As long as they're not making, plays and pushing, it really, we're kind of just stuck in the mud with the wheels turning until we can get other able-bodied people in here, to make that offensive line much stronger than what it is and what it really needs to be in order for this offense to take off.
Mike, appreciate the call. John, I know I was seeing it a lot between watching the game and then seeing what the reaction was just on social media. And there was a lot of angst with the offensive line because you did see, let's face it, and we knew Johnny Newton, we knew Randolph, we knew that those guys they're no jokes. Those are Sunday guys. Yeah. They're going to be first-round guys. Those guys, amongst others, even as Illinois continued to lose players defensively throughout the night with injuries, you did see a regular residence in the backfield with Nebraska's run game where, give Heinrich Harburg some credit there and trying to attack the edge. And that was one thing that I thought Nebraska did very well, much like Purdue did a week ago against Illinois, and that was attack the edge. But look, there's a lot about this offense that you just unfortunately are going to have to kind of live with this year. And offensive line play, there are certain times, especially with, I think, the downhill running game that you see guys like Ethan Piper getting out and knocking dudes down, but there's other moments like in the trap game, maybe guys are getting there slow. It's the same thing we've seen for a long time. It's very inconsistent.
It's a shame that Emmett Johnson fumbled there in midway through the fourth quarter because he had popped a couple of runs.
Mm-hmm.
And, the one thing I noticed about him, and I hope that Anthony is not going back to old traits, the trait of, moving more side to side. I mean, I think there were a couple of times where he just needed to attack instead of, kind of dance around. So I hope that, it's something that it doesn't rear its ugly head at some point. But I really liked what I saw at Emmett Johnson on that drive. Unfortunately, Scott got the penalty, moved him back 15 yards, and then Johnson fumbled. Then he gets pulled. But yeah, this offense is going to be what it is. Can the offensive line be better? Yes, absolutely. You heard Matt Rule talk about it in the post game. Some of the false starts. I think
that
there's
was interesting.
There's a bit of confusion right now. What is a disconcerting signal? Something that Nebraska's been called for this season, but I don't believe we've seen an opponent called for yet. And apparently there was, some conversation going on before the play that Matt Rule was interpreting as a disconcerting signal. Obviously, the officials were not. So hopefully they get clarification on that in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it was frustrating to see some of the penalties, but then I mentioned the penalty, the illegal, the unsportsmanlike conduct that erased what would have been a first and goal.
Yeah,
you can't have those things.
Yeah, and that was a dumb penalty.
Yeah, and so it's not just we can't just say, well, it was disconcerting signal.
Right.
No, there were a couple other penalties in there. There was no, you're shoving well beyond the whistle. Don't be doing that. You can't. This team can't afford to hurt itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, with the limitations the offense has, the margin for error is razor thin. Let's go to Connor next. Connor, welcome to Big Red Overreaction. What's up, man?
Hey, it's Connor, longtime listener, first-time caller. I just want to say, after listening to some of these earlier callers, so much focus on the negative. I mean, we just won a Big Ten football game. I mean, let's take some time to really enjoy that. I mean, we fought. I mean, you listen to that first clip of the fourth down on the goal line. I mean, we stopped them a half inch short of the touchdown. I mean, we showed these players can fight. They can really put something forward. I mean, this is something we haven't seen really with those Frost guys at all. I mean, they normally just kind of take it and they just let it go. And they just are like, oh, well, we found a way to lose. But I mean, we really showed some fight today, something we haven't seen since Mickey Joseph was head coach. And I mean, interim, but still. I mean, it's just something that we really need to take some time to enjoy. And I just don't understand why there's so much focus on the negative right after we just get our first Big Ten win of the season.
No, Connor,
I guess I just want to know.
Fair. That's fair.
I just want to know from your guys, do you see there's more negatives to look forward to? Like, do we need to correct more things, or can we just take some time to enjoy this win and realize that we have some fight in these players and we can actually put our best foot forward and head into this Big Ten West schedule of all kind of bad opponents? Like, what do you guys think?
I appreciate the call, Connor. I would start by saying, well, first of all, our first caller of the night was John, and I thought John
very
said
positive.
That was very positive. He, as he said, we are of average height now. We are 3-3, or they are 3-3 of average height. We could do an entire probably hour or two on the ultimate positive, and that is this defense, and that is how they set the tone there in that first drive, again, stopping Illinois at inside the 1 yard line, not once but twice on third down and fourth down. And then they did it later in the game as well.
On fourth and what it was about the same distance.
It was. So this defense and early, that drive that Illinois had, and on the first drive, it was a very good script. You could tell Illinois knew exactly how they wanted to attack the Nebraska defense, but what Nebraska did from that point on, I'd like to think that Illinois isn't that bad, but they're pretty bad. But give Nebraska's defense credit. It made Illinois' offense look brutal.
No question. the goal line stand's going to get an awful lot of attention, but Isaac Gifford not only led the team in tackles, but had 3 pass breakups. Nebraska had 7 pass breakups for the game. I'm very encouraged that Nebraska got to the quarterback. It's, quote, only twice for a team that's given up an average of 4 a game, but I was a little nervous that if they didn't get to the quarterback tonight, that we would have to start looking at this pass rush a little bit differently than we did in games 1 through 3. But they also got 6 more hurries on the quarterback.
Yep.
Just when it comes to quote unquote negative talk, don't misconstrue any critique on the offensive side as necessarily being negative. We're just talking about things that will have to be adjusted. Listen, whatever we say, I'm sure that Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield will be harder on those guys than anything we're going to say tonight. So, yes, absolutely. Caller's right. It's a Big Ten win. It's a win going into a bye week. You've set yourself up now where if you can win 2 more games in a row, be the first time you've had a 3-game winning streak since 2016. This is the longest this program has ever gone. To my research, this is the longest this program has ever gone without a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Even the dark ages of the 50s didn't have a stretch this long. So there's and you want to talk about progress? That's progress, especially in a year 1. And if you get 3 more wins, guess what? You're going to a bowl game, which I wasn't even expecting. I've been consistent from the beginning saying I'm not expecting a bowl game. I just want to see this team look like it's, moving in the right direction. They get to a bowl game, they will have exceeded my expectations.
Oh yeah.
So, all in all, a win is a win. It's ugly, but who cares? They won.
And that's the Big Ten West, as we know. We're going to take another call, then we'll take a break. Let's go to Daniel up next. What's up, Daniel?
Okay, guys. Well, first, thanks for taking my call. I've got maybe 5 short things that I'm going to say here, and I'll probably get off so that way you guys can get more callers in. Number 1, I thought our offensive line looked better just from the naked eye. I thought they protected Harbor better than they usually did. 2, the defense did really good. Number 3, got to clean up the penalties. We can work on that during the bye week. And if we don't show improvement during the Northwestern game, I think that this thing's going to blow over. Not entirely, but at least offensively it will. Number 4, we need to score touchdowns and no more field goals. Because honestly, I think we've missed 5, 6 on the year already.
What was Alvano tonight? 1 for 2.
He was 2,
he was 2 for 3, right?
2 for 3, so he missed 1, so that's 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And last thing, during while I was listening to you guys call, you asked what a disconcerting signal was. So a disconcerting signal is basically the defense using anything like say clapping, right?
Yeah.
No, we know what it is. We know what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were just explaining that's what Matt Rule, because the question was apparently Illinois was using certain verbiage, and I think he said stem
and go.
Yeah, stem and go.
Yeah.
And I think there was an issue. Rule was trying to get an explanation from the officials. Hey, isn't that a disconcerting signal? And apparently he was told no. So there's another conversation for the league office.
That's what I was trying to get to too. I think that that a disconcerting signal only relates to one certain thing, maybe a second one, but I think it only works to be the clapping. I think that's all it is. Anything else, I think.
Well, it can be verbal too. It can be verbal.
Yeah, because if
I'm a middle
linebacker,
if I'm a middle linebacker, I can't come up behind my tackle and over the center and go hike.
Right.
I can't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You can't mimic cadence.
Okay. Well, that's basically all I had. The rule is confusing.
It is.
That's just the thing. It's very confusing. We get called for it all the time. I've never seen any other defense get called for it while we're on offense.
I appreciate the call, Daniel. Yeah, that was an interesting thing. And if you remember, I think it was the last false start that Nebraska had in the fourth quarter. You could see Matt Rule on the sideline looking like he was barking at the official. And you're kind of thinking to yourself, well, I mean, that was clearly a false start. What's his gripe with the official? And clearly now we get an explanation of that. And you know as well as I do, John, he doesn't get overly worked up, especially critical to the officials a lot. So I got to imagine that there was a gray area in at least communicating what was and what wasn't disconcerting signals. And I'm getting if I had to guess, I bet one official was saying it is and the other was missing it. I don't know. I'm not saying that Matt Rule was throwing that out as an excuse. I think he legitimately thought there was something going on there.
No, there's no question. And I guarantee you there's going to be a call or a video or some kind of communication with the league office to get further clarification. And the good news is they have an extra week to do it.
They do. And the better news is they won 20-7 and they're 3-3. And that is a W, my friends. Scoreboard, we're going to bring you here in just one moment. In fact, only one college football game going on, and that was an upset tonight. Oklahoma State taking down Kansas State. 29.
Pistols firing.
Yeah, 29-21. That is the only game going on other than the Nebraska-Illinois game, and it's brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems, helping increase efficiency with your compressed air system. Pete, Isaac, Andy, Bob, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll get back to your phone calls as we continue with Big Red Overreaction, which is brought to you by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill, Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally, and also Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair. More coming up here. It's Big Red Overreaction on a Nebraska victory on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Tailgate parties call for burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else you can slap on a bun. But those burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else deserve the best buns. And the best buns come from Rotella's Italian Bakery. Crazy fresh, crazy delicious. So for your next party, pick some up at the bakery off 108th and Harrison or at your favorite grocery store. Fire up your grill and get ready for kickoff. Rotella's Italian Bakery, more than 100 years of tradition. Hey, can I get a burger with some cheese, lettuce, and tomato? Thanks.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized solar air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy Systems provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more. Driving industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships, let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air systems today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
More info and opinions on Big Red than one station can handle. Big Red Overreaction, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, and Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. On 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Harbert back to pass. Harbert floats it up, going to the sideline, and it's caught. Great catch by the senior Marcus Washington. You want some space, good for 39.
Big Red Overreaction brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, Mechanical Repair, and Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. And that's what, see, if you're watching us on the stream. John Baylor knows. He knows a good ad
John
placement.
Baylor knows, and so does John
Bishop.
All right.
That's the other JB.
That's the first time in like 20 years that's happened, and it used to happen all the time. So I'm not offended. Trust me.
That's my bad. It is John Bishop, Nick Hanley, Chance Oliver taking your calls. Again, you can weigh in. We'll get some lines open here for you on the J. Student Contracting Hotline, 402-951-1620. Let's go to Bob in Minnesota. What's up, Bob?
Hey, this is Bob Colbundy. I'm in the crazy Minnesota VFW. We had a watch party here. We're pumped about the win. Let's just get a win and move on. And good things are ahead. It wasn't pretty, but let's just keep it rolling. And I'm actually college roommates with Eric from Scottsdale, who used to call into your show, but he's having some marital problems these days. So he's done. But let's go, Big Red football.
Hey, Bob. Bob, what did you guys have at the VFW for dinner and stuff?
Wow, Busch Light pounders and frozen pizzas. That's all.
Wait a minute, you didn't have any
Minnesota VFW.
Wait a minute, you didn't have any grain belt?
Yeah, Northeast.
No, believe it or not, yeah,
that's some good beer,
It's a very nice beer, but no, we didn't have that. We got a few people on board, and wasn't pretty second half. But let's just get a win and move on, and keep fighting, guys. Great show.
Let's go, Big Red.
Go Big Red. They
Skull Vikings too, eh?
They love you guys. They love 1620 in crazy Minnesota, baby.
Yeah.
Go Big Red. Go Big
Red. I forgot. I have never done a Friday night show, Nick. The Friday night shows have a whole new element to them. Thanks to Bob in Minnesota.
I just want to know if he was
fan.
Was he up there in Duluth? And
he might have been up there in Duluth. Don't get too close to Fargo though, and don't get too close to the wood chipper.
That's right, over in White Bear Lake. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was hoping some great. I'm with you on the grain belt too. Maybe grain
That's
belt.
That's good beer, man. I had some a couple years ago. I like it.
I like grain belt too. Let's see.
But we like Coors Light better.
We do.
Keeping Nebraska chill.
You're spot on. Let's go to Andy. Is up next on Big Red Overreaction. Good evening, Andy.
Hey, first time caller from Manhattan, Kansas. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good. I want to bring up 4 points. First point is I'm glad you brought up KSU versus OSU. Like I said, I was a Nebraska fan first, but K-State looked like old Nebraska. The quarterback turned over the ball, and they couldn't tackle on defense. Heinrich, I love. He's from Nebraska. I think he does a good job, but I think there's still an issue with the quarterback to where Nebraska cannot pass the ball. And then other one is Alvano. He needs to get better, or there needs to be a different kicker. I think kicking the field goals, things like that, because he needs to make all of them, right? And then last one is I'm also a Panthers fan, so I was not happy about the Matt Rule hire. But one thing I like to see, I think this team seems to be able to win games that they should win,
Mm-hmm.
I understand Northern Illinois, Louisiana Tech, and Illinois, but those 3 games, I feel like we weren't going to lose those. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. And yeah, I appreciate the call. Like I said, first time caller, and yeah, long time listener. So thank you guys.
All right, thank you, Andy.
Appreciate it.
I think, and this is what I've always, and I don't know where you were at the first year of this, John, but the first year for me was about this, raising the ceiling, meaning against your Big Ten West peers, especially now that we kind of are getting a glimpse of what the Big Ten West is. That if you're chipping away at the teams in your division and playing meaningful football in November, that is not only I think a reasonable ask, but I thought that was where you want to kind of set your sights. Some people are going to have maybe, bigger prospects of seeing an 8 or a 9 win season, but that was unreasonable to ask. I just wanted to see where Nebraska was with its peers in the Big Ten West. And tonight, as ugly as that second half was, as great as the defense was, and as very sputtering and very inconsistent as the special teams was and the offense, It was a win against a Big Ten West opponent, and a Big Ten West opponent that's had Nebraska's number for years.
Yeah, they were 3-19 against this division in the last 22 games. So this is only the fourth win in the last 23 games. I didn't really have a rec. I mean, we all made a record prediction, but I didn't really have a record attached to this year. I wanted to know at the end of the year when I looked at that football team, I said, yeah, they have laid a foundation that looks like they can build for future success. That's really all I was looking for. And yeah, it's the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And, one person will look at progress and another person will see, well, yeah, but they're deficient here, here, and there. So I get that those aren't great, tangible benchmarks. I do want to address Tristan Alvano. I would say that the field goal that he missed, bad snap, clumsy hold because the timing was all thrown off. Laces were in. Laces out, Dan. Now, that said, he has missed 3 other kicks this year. And, so while I won't necessarily dock him for this one tonight, I do understand the frustration. And I hope that, like any other position, quarterback, left tackle, outside linebacker, place kicker, that Matt Rule plays the guy who he thinks gives them, quote, the best chance of winning the game. And so I would say that the kicking side of things, that competition should continue. Because I don't remember Bleak Road was pretty good inside of 40 yards.
Yeah, he was,
as I recall. And I'm not saying bench Tristan Alvano, but I would just say that he's got a limit right now. And I hope that he can hit some good strides here pretty soon, because Nebraska is going to need every point they can get. Fortunately, tonight that missed field goal did not hurt them.
Right.
But on another night against another Big Ten West team, it probably will. So, got to get that short up.
All right, let's go back to the Jason Contracting Hotline and say good evening to Isaac. What's up, Isaac?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Good. All right, a couple be positive for a little bit. We beat Burt, who's a good ball coach.
Yeah, it was Burt week.
You don't win. I was gonna say you don't win the Big Ten 3 times being a bad football coach, and then we haven't beat Illinois in many, many years. So there's always that. As defense looks great again. I know we played Michigan last week and we looked terrible, but when you play those good football teams, it doesn't matter if you're the 11th best defense or the 111th best defense. They're going to get their numbers on you. Like Nebraska back in the day. You were going to get 400 yards rushing, basically regardless of who we played. The offense. You talk to some of the South Carolina fans, and I heard this when we hired Satterfield, because they were kind of making fun of us. And I was like, hey, let us see. But you talk to them as though that 100 they hung on Tennessee and then Clemson the following week, they'll tell you that they took away Satterfield's play calling abilities. And I don't know what they did, but they will tell you because they didn't look too great before that. And, he doesn't exactly have the best talent to work with, but things like the horrific offensive penalties, the turnover, all that sort of stuff that isn't talent. That is coaching, because you don't have to run a 4-4-40 to not turn the ball over on an exchange. And then to maybe go back on a positive note is we have the opportunity next with a 2-week bye to be above 500, get our heads above water for the first time in since like 2019, maybe since that 2017 team that went like 7-0. And the mark of a good coaching staff is whether or not you get that win after you have that long week. So I'm really looking forward to see what Rule does against these next 3 opponents, because this is what's going to decide whether or not we make it to a bowl game. So thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks, Isaac. And that's the other thing, John, that I think when it comes to assessing this coaching staff and Matt Rule, and, I talked about tonight was sort of that, the referendum of, you're going to know what they're about and all of that. How does this coaching staff tackle the bye week? Because you mentioned how rare it was for Nebraska to go on a bye week on a successful note. We also know how rare it is for Nebraska to come out of a bye week on a successful note and to be able to get a win And you've got a great opportunity against a Northwestern team that isn't very good. And so I get it. Injuries are a big thing. And I know a lot of the bye week also it pertains to recruiting too, but you've got now the first half of the football season to assess. And we've been talking about it tonight. We're not saying you got to bench Heinrich Harburg or you got to bench Tristan Alvano or you got to finally do away with Turner Corcoran or wherever you want to point it at. But what type of assessment, what type of competition will continue to evaluate the areas that they feel like maybe they do have some guys that can either rotate in or how they want to kind of go about the second half?
You've got some extra time now, and I'm sure they're going to use it to the best of their ability. And if Matt Rule is true to his word, practice means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, it's funny, and I've seen some of the comments there on our YouTube chat about, Jeff Sims, this, that, and the other thing. If Jeff Sims were turning the ball over as much as he did in games in practice, he wouldn't have been the starting quarterback to begin with.
No.
Matt Rule is a big, I want to see it done in practice. And if you can do it in practice, then you can get playing time, then you can do it in the game. I don't know if Allen Iverson necessarily could play for Matt Rule, but that's the way he's going to run this operation. And so he's going to continue. If I'm going to believe him at his word, and I'm until he gives me a reason not to, I will believe him at his word. He's going to play the best people he can to win. So I look forward to how they attack this week. We won't see it. I mean, he'll talk to the media probably once or twice over the next 10, 11 days. But this is another opportunity in a development program, which is what he emphasized from day one. In a development program, this is a golden opportunity for development. And to your point, it's also a good chance to get some guys healed up because they had quite a few guys banged up tonight. I'm really bummed about Marcus Washington. I actually called it tonight. I said, I think Marcus Washington's going to pop a big play tonight. Sure enough, they hit him for 40 yards. And then one play later, another injury away from the ball, like Deshaun Singleton.
Yeah.
I hope he's okay because they need every healthy body they can get who can stretch the field.
Going to take another call before we head into the break. Let's go to Pete. Pete, you're in Big Red Overreaction. What's up, man?
Pete, is that what you said?
Yeah. Hey, Pete.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I just want to say a good win, and thanks for the show that you guys put on. But the one thing I got to say is screw Tom Chattel and screw Sam McCune. They both picked Illinois, and I think the only reason they did because they believed in Brett Bielema more than they believed in Matt Rule, our coach. And so if I was him, I would not take a question from either one of them for the rest of the season. In the press conferences, they can sit in the corner and suck their thumbs. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Pete. Oh,
you're just making predictions. I predicted Nebraska to win last week.
Oh, that's
I feel
right.
dumber than they do.
Somebody had told us one of the guys on 1620 The Zone picked Nebraska to beat Michigan. We're like, no, they didn't.
Yeah, no, they did. They were an idiot, and they did. But I picked them to win tonight.
Me too.
My God, they came through.
That's right. Before we do get to a break, kind of going over some of the keys to the game, and there was one thing that we were kind of talking about a lot throughout the week, just based on that Sunday practice, and then kind of hearing Tony White. You just got the feeling like this defense, even being down Luke Reimer, being down Deshaun Singleton, are just real bad for this defense. Obviously, we know that. But getting Cam Lenhart back, which, honestly, we didn't see till later, you just felt like Tony White was going to really do something to Altmaier, was going to really kind of dial some stuff up, do some disguising when it came to putting pressure and trying to kind of force the issue. Whether we want to go back to the goal line stands of just this defense standing tough, or the way that more than anything, John, this defense seems so prepared. I know it wasn't necessarily the preparation that was in question a week ago against Michigan, but you just got the feeling like Tony White, out of everyone on that staff, was maybe bothered the most by that. And just the way that they were flying back and looking very familiar of a defensive unit, and just that overall pressure that they were getting early on, even when they weren't getting home to the quarterback, that pressure early on, in my opinion, set a huge tone in this game.
I think the other thing, too, and we haven't really mentioned it yet, I was really worried about Isaiah Williams tonight. This is a guy who doubled up the rest of the team in catches, and he doubled up the rest of the team in catches tonight too, but he was held to 57 yards. And one of the things they like to do is get the ball to him in space, and Nebraska did a great job with angles tonight. I thought that was something that was a little bit lacking against Michigan. They had a great job with angles tonight. They really rallied to the ball well. And for Williams to only get 57 yards on 8 catches, I thought if there was an X factor tonight, and I know when Josh and I did our big board, we gave the check mark to the receivers mainly because of what Williams could do. I was really worried about this, and for that defense to play as well as they did against him. I mean, I think he had one catch of any significance in the second half. He had a couple on those little pop passes, those little push passes. Alone. Yeah, that they rallied and tackled well. But I thought the way they covered the slants tonight, and that's where they got a lot of their pass breakups, was really, really good. This defense, I kind of thought last week, I'm not calling it a fluke, but I kind of thought last week was an aberration because of the quality of the opponent they played. Against the rest of these offenses, it's going to be real interesting to see what they do against Talia Tagovailoa and Maryland, who's really, really good. But they like to throw a lot of stuff short inside of 10 yards. And if Nebraska can rally to the ball and take proper angles like they did tonight, I don't think there's an offense on the rest of this schedule that can have their way with them, or it's going to be a struggle for them to move the ball. And 21 yards rushing tonight for Illinois.
Yeah.
And they only had two sacks. So it's not like they got them on sacks. After that first drive, I'm going to go back during the break because they got some decent runs on their first drive of the game. But since then, I wouldn't be surprised if they had negative yards rushing the rest of the game.
Yeah, I bet you're right. Keys to the game, by the way, brought to you by Rotella's Italian Bakery. The key to any tailgate is brat, dog, and burger buns from Rotella's Italian Bakery. Going to get back to your calls. So, Wade, Nebraska ball, Mike, Sean, Randy, don't go anywhere. We are coming back with more Big Red Overreaction presented by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill, and by Dingman's Collision Center Mechanical Repair. Also by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We've got more on Big Red Overreaction. Nebraska wins 20-7. They go into bye week 3-3. You're listening to 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized solar air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy Systems provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more. Driving industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships, let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air systems today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
When it comes to protecting your home, J. Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, J. Stennett Contracting has you covered. This fall, consider gutter guards to block debris and prevent clogs and save you the hassle of regular maintenance. Schedule a consultation today and let J. Stennett Contracting's expert team and durable gutter guards ensure your gutters are working properly in every season. J. Stennett Contracting. We have you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
Big Red Overreaction is live on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg. featuring the most important voice of all, yours. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Sound off now. 402-951-1620.
Who's going to come and pick it up? It takes a Nebraska bounce. Did the Cornhuskers pick it up? The ball is in there somewhere. Who's got it? Nebraska's saying they have it, and they do. Wow.
Nebraska winning 20-7. Big Red Overreaction presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. By Dingman's Collision Center Mechanical Repair. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. That was a nice highlight. That was a between the fumble from Phelan Sanford when he knocks the ball loose and it bounces right to Tommy Hill. But then also on the, as you heard just there, the kickoff that went astray. We can credit the wind on that. Illinois had no idea what to do. It was a fire drill, and Nebraska winds up with a football. Early on in this one, too, John, you just thought, yeah, I feel like this is, those are some of the bounces that you're getting. And then you, in the second half, too, the defense starting to force some mistakes, too. It's like, all right, well, at least there was that going on. It was nice to see.
I watched the first half with my buddy Jack Mitchell, our partner from KLIN. And first of all, I invite every Husker fan to watch a game with Jack sometime because it's an entertaining experience. And I wish I would have caught it on video. The rant he had after Nebraska recovered that free kick. And he was calling it a recovered fumble. And technically by the rule, it is not a recovered fumble. Right. It's like an onside kick.
Yeah.
So it technically isn't a turnover, but I get his point. His general point was we finally got a bounce to go our way. And it was that. It was Phelan Sanford, who, by the way, Deshaun Singleton being out, I thought of all the injuries Nebraska's had, this one could be the most impactful. Mm-hmm. Sanford played tremendous tonight, so that was really, really great to see. But I said I would look it up during the break. So Illinois on their first drive, the drive that ended with the goal line stand, had 23 yards rushing on 7 carries. Of course, the last 2 carries, they got stuffed at the 1 yard line. Illinois had 21 yards rushing for the game on 19 carries. So after the first drive of the game, Illinois ran 12 times for -2 yards.
Wow. Well, it says so much about this one and the defensive effort and what Illinois was truly limited, because I don't know how you felt watching this game in the second half, because Nebraska squandered so many opportunities. And maybe this is the big difference between, years past where teams would have kind of pounced on Nebraska. And in fact, I remember Mitch Sherman tweeting this out during the game it's interesting. Brett Bielema didn't even bat an eye. He was okay with going ahead and punting being down by 13 points, because it's almost as if he expects Nebraska to lose the game for him, as opposed to them having to be aggressive and go for it on 4th down. And yet Illinois, God bless them, they are just not good. No. They're just not good.
No. I mean, we could sit here all we want, and if people want to misconstrue what we're saying as being overly critical, this was a team that some people thought might win the division this year.
Right.
They could challenge Northwestern for last.
Yep. And that's kind of crazy to think about.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of momentum that they built from last year.
Yep.
Really, the slide from the end of last season has carried right on over here. And the difference is they don't have Witherspoon. They don't have Brown. They don't have some of those guys that got drafted in the NFL. Illinois got some problems.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and they had every opportunity to make that game not only extremely nerve-wracking, but almost take the lead at some point, too. And they just was like, nah, we're good. We're okay. Friday night, we're going to get out of here. Let's get to the J Stinnett Contracting Hotline, 402-951-1620, as we go out to Wade. Good evening, Wade.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Good. Appreciate the show. I've called in a few times before, and I think I've told y'all this before. I'm in Mississippi, and as a fan who's 800 or 900 miles away and is relegated to watching 99% of the games on TV, I just can't get to Lincoln very often. It was extremely gratifying to not have to hear the name Bo Richter for about 4 weeks. First time I heard that was during the Minnesota game, and I was lubing up early on the way back from the fridge with about my third beer, and I was scrambling for my 2D going, who the hell's that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Credit to Jeff Levering, by the way, a great broadcaster. He had Janiron right.
Yep.
I think someone said he mispronounced Taggy, but I didn't catch that one.
I didn't catch that one either.
But he had some good ones tonight, and he actually sounded like a broadcaster who actually prepared for the game.
Yep,
So thank you, Jeff Levering.
He looked at the pronunciation guide. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because Gus has a pronunciation deficiency disorder for sure.
A little bit.
I think he ought to start staying at a Holiday Inn Express instead of the Hampton.
Good deep cut there.
The game itself, when you guys first came on the air, you were talking about the second half, and how could you not? It was, and I've heard a couple of criticisms about people pointing out the negatives, but the team goes and enjoys the win for 24 hours. We're talking about this immediately after the game, so you can't help but talk about both the positives and the negatives. That's just human nature. But I'm really just so happy to be 3-3 heading into the final 6 games of the season. The light at the end of the tunnel seems to be getting brighter. That we can definitely get to bowl eligibility, and that's what I want. I want to go to a bowl again. I mean, hell, I was 34 years old before we didn't make a bowl game. You know how spoiled that is?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, because
born in 1970. So, I think people are not giving enough credence to the fact this is an entirely new staff. We've brought in almost a third of new players. It's a brand new system on both sides of the ball. Every single person on the coaching staff is new except for the offensive line coach. What do you think you're going to get? It's not just it's going to be rocky road, at least in the beginning. And if we make a bowl game, that's huge. Because I talked to a lot of people that said, oh, it's not going to happen. Rule's a great coach, but, everywhere else he's been in a rebuild, it's 1, 2, maybe 3 wins the first year. And, if we get 3 or 4 wins, that's great. I said, no, I think he's bought into Nebraska, and Nebraska players have bought into him. That's huge. I think we're going to make a bowl game. I think it's nothing but up from here. And, don't lose sight of the forest for the trees. There's a lot of small things we can nitpick about. We won the game. We're 3-3. We got 6 games left. I think we can get 3 more. I think we can maybe get 4 more. And surprisingly, now the biggest game I'm worried about left on the schedule is Maryland and not the other ones.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they do against Ohio State tomorrow. But I appreciate the show and taking my call, and hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend.
All right. Thank you, Wade. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Wade.
All the way out in Mississippi.
Nice.
I think there's a lot of what Wade was saying, that it's easy to kind of look at, all right, hey, you win a sloppy game, and you're looking at a lot of the parts that are still trying to get into place. I think it's also easy to kind of look at that and understand the schedule that Nebraska does have coming up. I mean, we've talked about it with Northwestern, Purdue, then at Michigan State before you come back home to take on Maryland, then it's Wisconsin, Iowa. So those opportunities exist. And I mean, we know how different the tone would have been tonight had Nebraska played like they did in the second half, but Illinois actually took advantage of it. And, how just absolutely dejected people would be, because the most uplifting part about tonight is, first and foremost, a win against Illinois, a Big Ten team as well. But also, you are now halfway to bowl eligibility with a realistic path. Not saying it's going to happen, but there is a path there that is not like, okay, you guys are wishing on a prayer there. There's definitely a path, especially in this next 4-game stretch.
No, there's no question there is. So you're in pretty good shape, all things considered. And now it's just about, finding those little ways to get better. So again, and you're going to hear, I don't know how much more of it you'll hear on this show tonight, but you'll hear it over all of our shows over the next couple of weeks. The quarterback situation will be discussed at length, and some other things will be discussed. And, listen, these are just things to try to get Nebraska to those 6 wins, right? These aren't things that are, bigger picture things that are an indictment of the coaching staff or where we think this program is headed. I think, honestly, based on most people's expectations, they're technically one game behind where we thought they might be, because I think we all had them. Well, actually, they might be right on pace now, because a lot of people, I think, had this game pegged as a loss. I think I did. Because it was coming off a short week in Michigan. So really the Colorado game's the only game that kind of flipped. So this one kind of makes up for it. So in a lot of ways, even those of you out there that thought they could get to 7 wins, you might have had this one pegged as a loss too. So, for the most part, they're kind of on track for where a lot of people thought they would be. And, are there issues? Certainly. But Matt Rule said it himself last week after the game. We are a defensive team.
Yeah.
This team's going to win or lose based on defense. It's just the offense's job to take advantage of the short field, which they got, but didn't do a great job of taking advantage of. But fortunately, they did do good things in the first half that got them the lead, and they were able to hold on. So all in all, are there things that can be fixed? Yes, but they're probably about right on the schedule that a lot of us had them on prior to the season at 3-3.
And for the record, I don't know about you, but I think the Colorado game feels like it was like 5 months ago.
Yes.
Everything that has had, it's just,
I agree.
It's that season. Let's go to Nebraska ball. Mike next. What's up, Mike?
Hello, gentlemen. It's been a while.
It has.
Hey, Mike.
Listen, Nebraska has a Big Ten defense now. They're working to get a Nebraska defense. And when they do, they will beat more people this year. But the goal is to get a championship defense, and that will come soon. I'm calling because I have to back up my kicker. Here's the deal. I don't know how many people know this, but he went to an NFL special teams coach at a camp over the summer, and they messed with his mechanics. And he's in his head. So until the kid gets out of his head and realizes he won a state championship in that stadium himself, he can do this for this team. College hash marks are different than pro hash marks. They're different. The kicking is different. The coaching is different. Until he figures it out, he's going to... It's just a fact. The worst thing he could have done was go to a pro coach and get messed with. But that's what happened.
All right, Mike, appreciate the insight there too. And there's another one about Tristan Alvano, and I'm John, I'm with you. I think that is a situation where what you assess with the offense, and you understand that you just said it, and Matt Rule said it. This is a defensive team. So what are you doing offensively to complement that? Well, you're getting points. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're always finishing drives in the end zone. You got to get through the uprights too. I'll go back to earlier in the game, the first drive that Nebraska had, where sure they could have went for it on 4th down. They didn't though. You had Tristan Alvano in good range. You have a chance to kind of get him off the schneid a little bit and get him feeling good about himself. And he booted one. And you're thinking, okay, now you get some confidence. He got his second one too. So then you're kind of feeling good about that part of it. The miss, and you brought it up, and I totally agreed because I saw it. It was kind of it was an awkward. The snap wasn't great. The hold wasn't great. The laces it was kind of spinning. But the bottom line is, where are you at in getting your threes? Are you rolling with the kid to a point that, okay, you're starting to leave some points on the field? Or do you think it's just a matter of time that it's going to come, the kid's going to get it, and he's going to start getting more consistent with it? And we kind of thought we saw that tonight until that miss. I think that's one of the things that this coaching staff definitely has to address here during the bye week.
If I look at this similar to look at the quarterback situation, a lot of people sometimes assume that once you make a switch, you can never go back.
Right.
And I don't believe in that. And I'm not saying in the moment that Timmy Bleekrode should be the kicker in the next game. But if he is, that doesn't mean that Tristan Albano's career at Nebraska is done. Part of learning is overcoming disappointment and overcoming rejection. And if that's the case, he'll be a better player because of it. I can't speak to the mechanics and the pro coach and all the other stuff. I can remember going back, gosh, what's it been now, 15 years to remember Jordan Congdon.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Congdon had he had the pro kicking coach and all the other stuff, and he ended up being a big disappointment.
Yep.
I'm not saying Albano's going to be that, but hopefully whatever is going on, he can get straightened out. I don't necessarily put tonight's kick miss on him, but there were some other ones. I mean, he missed a big one in the Michigan game. He missed one in the La Tech game. So, at some point, you got to put it on you and work on you to get it fixed. So, we'll see where it goes, but I haven't given up hope on Tristan Albano. I think he's, Chris Brown, who ended up being one of the greatest kickers of all time, he missed his very first kick, an extra point.
Yeah.
An easy extra point, and he choked it.
Yeah.
And ended up being a heck of a kicker. So it's part of the job, and you just, you'll learn to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Going back to the Jason Contracting Hotline, 402-951-1620. Here is Sean. Welcome to Big Red Overreaction, Sean. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Good, man.
Hey, I'll keep this short because I like you guys, and you deserve to go to bed.
Thank you, Sean. Oh, finally, someone who gets us.
So this game, way too many things had to go right for it to end up looking like this. It does feel good. I'm not hating. Feels good to win. It feels great to beat Burt. The defense bounced back very nicely. It was sort of a bend not break, and it worked beautifully. But I was curious for you guys, watching this game, does it change your opinion about the future of Nebraska's season, or is it what you expected? Like, does this change what you think the record will be going forward?
I mean, I had them at 5-7, so I've only got them winning 2 more games. But I believed it 2 weeks ago. I believe it today. I think they can get to a bowl game. I think there are 3 more wins out there. It's not going to be easy, but I think that they're out there. So,
which one? What are the 3?
Well, certainly the next one. I mean, really, the next 3 are the most winnable ones, if I dare say that. Though yes. Purdue, I'll be curious to see how Purdue. I'll be curious about Purdue and Iowa tomorrow because Purdue might be in a position to reclaim this division again, believe it or not. But the next 3 certainly line up as the quote unquote easiest. And hey, the way Iowa plays, I mean, it's going to be a low scoring game. You get a break one way or another, you may end up pulling that one out. So, there's they're about right where I thought they would be. And if they end up getting to 6, they'll be a game ahead of where I thought they would be.
Yeah, and I was I was at 7-5. I had a victory over Colorado, but I did have them losing tonight. I had them 3-3 going to the bye week. Didn't anticipate Maryland to be maybe as a handful as they would be, as I think they will be. But I also thought a lot of people were overselling Michigan State, which I wasn't buying. I thought that 3-game stretch coming out of the bye week was going to be huge, to where I thought you could possibly go 3-1 or even 4-0, and you could find your way to 7. Now, I'm not ready to go there yet, but the fact that they're 3-3 with the stretch of games they have coming up, it's a reasonable path. Will it happen? That's the $1 million question.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys being on. I just real quick, I'll let you go, but and you don't have to expand on it. I just want each of you to, and I'll take my answer off the air. I'll hang up, but I just wanted to know what your favorite Star Wars prequel is, and I'll take my answer off the air.
Thanks, Sean.
Sith. Revenge of the Sith, best one.
That is probably the one, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best one.
Yeah.
It's the most quotable of the three.
Yeah. That is true too. See, and there you go. If you have it, is it quotable? Is it something that is going to stay in your? Can you introduce it in your everyday life? Then yes.
Every single Jedi is now an enemy of the Republic. Wipe them out.
And you can even work it into the football conversation.
Yeah, you can work Palpatine into a lot of things.
Is,
and that's a good point the caller made too. They beat Brett Bielema. Haven't beaten him since 2012.
Yep. Joel Stavi led Brett Bielema Wisconsin Badger team.
Dear God.
Not since the days of the old Republic.
Remember when Joel Stavi had the yips?
Yes, I do. And then they hung 70 on Nebraska because of a jet sweep that Bo Pelini's defense never reacted like they had never seen before.
Yeah, see, we just took a turn to negative town all of a sudden.
All right, Cap. Sorry.
All right, let's take one more call before I hit a breakout. Let's go to Randy. Is up next on Big Red Overreaction. Hey, Randy.
Oh yeah, I'm talking cream. I'm talking crop. That's a Harvard touchdown. That's a 4th down stop. Macho Man was dead. Skur football was dead. Macho Man is back. Skur football is back. Nebraska ball Mike doesn't make any sense. Our losing ways are past tense. Y'all get me once a year. Y'all get me once a night. God bless y'all. Good night.
Yes.
Snip it. All right.
That was really good.
Oh yeah. I'm motivated and constipated. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Snap into his
That was good. And he worked
good.
in Nebraska ball Mike, who had just called. So I mean that was not bad.
That was
Really
very well done. Before we hit a break, again, the only other game that took place tonight was an upset in the Big 12, and that was the Oklahoma State Cowboys with a victory over Kansas State, 29-21.
That truly is a 2-team conference.
Yes, it is. And that update brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems, helping increase efficiency with your compressed air system. All right, a couple more calls that we will take as we kind of hit the final stretch here of Big Red Overreaction. Nebraska winning 20-7. They head into the bye week 3-3. Can they make a bowl game? We shall see. But a victory over Illinois tonight, 20-7. We will talk more about it. Take your phone calls again. So Carl, Bob, and Boyd, don't go anywhere. We're back on Big Red Overreaction after this on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
At Dingman's, we are working for you before you even walk through our doors. Our level of commitment to industry involvement and continuing education is second to none. Through our ongoing involvement, we stay current with all the best repair procedures for the ever-changing vehicle. This includes working with auto and paint manufacturers, as well as insurance companies. Our repair facilities are set up with the latest repair and technology. Our ongoing work is to ensure that when you do need us, we are able to provide you with the safest, best repair possible. Because at Dingman's, we would rather be the best than apologize for anything less. Dingmans.com.
Tailgate parties call for burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else you could slap on a bun. But those burgers, brats, dogs, and whatever else deserve the best buns. And the best buns come from Rotella's Italian Bakery. Crazy fresh, crazy delicious. So for your next party, pick some up at the bakery off 108th and Harrison or at your favorite grocery store. Fire up your grill and get ready for kickoff. Rotella's Italian Bakery, more than 100 years of tradition. Hey, can I get a burger with some cheese, lettuce, and tomato? Thanks.
402-951-1620. Big Red Overreaction is live. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also sponsored by Dingman's Collision and Mechanical Repair on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The K.
Harburg keeps a seam. Harburg lowers his head into the end zone. A touchdown for the Cornhuskers.
Nebraska defeating Illinois 20-7. They improved to 3-3. They hit the bye week. It's Nick Hanley. It is John Bishop. It is Chance Oliver with you on Big Red Overreaction. Appreciate you being with us. Big Red Overreaction presented by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and also brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Did you crack open another Coors Light there, John?
No, I'm just going to do one.
Okay.
We had some great folks from Boss City Brewing today. By the way, there's some Oktoberfest in the beer fridge there, Nick.
Okay.
Take one home.
Excellent.
But that was our One Beer Friday, so I didn't want to overdo it. I also wanted to give a shout out real quick, folks on the Tweeter, the X, as some people call it, tweeting from 30,000 feet, listening to BROR in front of the fire. I'm going to try to put this picture up. I don't know if it's going to translate too well. Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Look at that. He is outside. He's got a big old stone fireplace. Look at the fire shooting out of that
It's
thing.
amazing.
Yeah, that's how you do it. This is the first real fall day of the season, man. It feels like fall. That is a perfect night for a big old fire. Now, it's a little windy, so be careful. Don't let that thing get out of control.
Yeah, that's true. It smelled like fall when I got in the parking lot, too, and in a good way, too. You could smell the people were doing the fire pit thing all around 50th and Dodge, so good
Yeah,
times.
if it wasn't so doggone late, I would have done this outside tonight, but I don't think the neighbors at 1224 would appreciate it.
Let's go back to the Jay Stinnett Contracting Hotline, 402-951-1620, and welcome in Boyd to Big Red Overreaction. Hey, Boyd.
Hey guys, I just got a few points here. One, I don't know where Harburg's learning to run the option, but I think he needs to learn how to pitch the ball.
He did twice.
I think it was three times.
Oh,
wasn't it?
Actually, it was three times.
Pitched it, it would have gone maybe to the house, maybe get him closer.
Yeah.
He 8 tackles. If he knows it, he feels it, pitches the ball, boom, touchdown. More than likely. That Illinois defense was not playing good defense.
Especially on the
Second, I don't know what Nebraska ball Mike is smoking, but Nebraska playing Big Ten defense, the only team in the Big Ten I see playing Big Ten defense is Michigan. And
Ohio
they're
State's pretty
shutting
good.
people down, passing and rushing. They are shutting every.
Ohio State's pretty good. Iowa's pretty good.
Everyone. Ohio State's good. Yes.
Yeah, and
But
I'll give Phil
Michigan is shutting
give
people
Phil
down.
Parker a lot
Give
of credit.
Phil Parker his due, man. Iowa's good. Iowa's pretty good on defense. But
Okay, I'll give it to him.
I would say this, though, going back to your point on Harburg, remember, a lot of these option plays they just put in the last few weeks. I mean, it's not like the 80s when that's all they practiced. This was stuff that Satterfield and Rule had never coached before, and that's their words. They put a lot of this stuff in thanks to Ron Brown's tutelage. So I'll give Heinrich a little bit of a break on the option.
I'll give him a break. Good point. I'll give him a break on it. Third thing, this defense. Holy smokes! What are they doing? Because whatever they're feeding them, something different than last year.
Oh.
You see what they're doing, the way they're playing. Oh man, give them another year or two, and we could actually be playing Big Ten defense. We really could. I mean, to Nebraska ball Mike's credit, they got potential. They're not quite doing it yet. It's not quite there, but they're on the edge. There's that tipping point, and they're about at it.
21 yards rushing tonight. -2 after the first drive. I mean, and they made Illinois one-dimensional.
They
We
did.
found out that
Yeah.
one dimension isn't very
Yeah,
good
they were
either.
playing left-handed all night.
Yep.
So looking at the stats before the game, their passing yards per game is really good. I don't know who they've played because let's face it, I'm a Husker fan. I don't
They
really
had Penn State.
pay as much attention as they should. What is it? 258.
Illinois
game before last night. Illinois.
Illinois averaging what's 242.
242 a game. Okay. They're averaging 242 a game. What they averaged tonight? What was their passing yards tonight?
Tonight,
over
289.
Yeah, 289.
But again, remember, that's all they
times.
could do. That's all they could do. They could not run the ball. They pretty much gave up on running the ball.
Yeah.
So they ended up with a little over 360, 370 for the game.
Yeah,
that's
total.
Some pretty good defense for modern football.
Oh, yeah.
So there's positives. There are some negatives. And as a Husker fan, you have to always look at both. Because there's a lot of stuff that goes against us, and a lot of it is our own doing. There was a lot of broken coverage tonight, especially over the middle. There's a lot of broken coverage, crossing routes, slant routes, that kind of stuff. It was a fun game to watch. Not gonna lie, I didn't watch a whole lot of the fourth quarter because I was scared we were gonna give it away. But God, I'm glad I watched this game. God, this was fun. I love seeing Brett Bielema lose. Go Big Red.
All right, thanks, Boyd.
The number I like to look at is yards per attempt.
Yep.
And Illinois, Altmaier was averaging 7.5 yards per attempt coming into tonight. Tonight, Nebraska held him to 6.1.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And again, if you can make a team one-dimensional and literally just they only had 12 rushing attempts after the first drive because they knew they couldn't run.
Yeah. Very similar to what happened in Minnesota.
You can make a team one-dimensional unless that team is very good to elite at that other dimension that you're not taking away, you're probably going to win the game more times than not.
Yeah.
And that's what they did tonight.
Yeah. Let's go to Bob is up next on Big Red Overreaction. Hey, Bob.
Hey, guys. Keep it short. Just wanted to call in and talk about a positive note about Coach Rule. So he was right. The Sunday practice worked. The guys he called out that could play on Sundays, Gifford stepped up, Newsom stepped up, maybe Nash.
Nash was good.
Stanford probably isn't a Sunday guy, but he definitely stepped up with Singletary out or Singleton. Question for you guys. After looking at his demeanor the past couple of weeks, after looking, listening to his press conferences, watching him interact with Satterfield the past couple of weeks, is the pressure getting to him a little bit? Thanks, guys.
Appreciate the call. I think I don't know if there's any pressure that's really getting to Matt Rule. I think he's now in it. I think you're just seeing a little bit more of an emotionally invested guy now that the season's taking it's taking. I don't want to say taking its toll, but you're seeing the ups and downs of it. And I think some of the stuff that he expected, you're obviously going to have an opinion of it, but I think there's also certain things that maybe they didn't necessarily anticipate and they're trying to maneuver. And I think that's what you're getting out of Matt Rule.
This is the way he talks to his staff. He said as much in the preseason. They'll have animated conversations. He will be animated on the sidelines, not animated to the point where he's going to get his team into trouble like some other coaches have in the past. But, all of these guys are Matt Rule guys, and so they know what they were getting into, right? They have a kind of an open, honest relationship. So I don't look at, some of the things, there was the one scene tonight where they called one of those timeouts and you could just read Rule's lips and he's going, no. So he is a guy that's definitely wants to be in control as much as possible. And so, at the end of the day, while he'll always welcome input, he will have the last word. And everyone on that staff knows that. So, no, I don't see anything. I don't see anything that he hasn't done previously that would indicate to me that there's pressure getting to him.
Yeah, I would agree. Carl is up next on Big Red Overreaction. Hey, Carl.
Hey, guys. This is a John Bishop appreciation phone call. John, are you there?
Yes.
I love you. And I think that the field at Huskerland should be renamed Dr. John Osborne Field. Is that a problem?
Well, that's not my last name.
Well, I think he can adapt. And one of the questions that I have for you, Mr. Bishop, is the Jeff Sims over-under during I think it was earlier today, how much he'd be involved today. I think it was one play, the over-under.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it have been great to just use him as a flanker? I'm just like, why not? The guy's a natural athlete. Let's get him in space. Let's get him involved. Follow up, Anthony Grant. We can't trust him anymore, can we?
I don't know if we can't trust him anymore. I mean, Johnson fumbled the ball too.
Yeah.
No, and if you saw, Grant came back in after Johnson fumbled the ball.
Did.
So, yeah, they're kind of in a spot here where they can't really go much deeper. Grant
Billy Kemp lining up in the eye.
I mean, how deep can we get here? Like, we need him. We need Anthony Grant to be productive, and at the most productive time where we could have a guy grind it out, he can't even do that. Where do we go from here? Are we gonna have Billy Kemp running it in the I formation?
No, I think Anthony will be fine. Remember, Anthony only had 3 fumbles all last season, and he carried the ball. I don't remember the number of touches. It was like north of 200 touches.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad fumble rate. So what you're seeing this year is not what he was doing last year. I think Anthony will be fine.
Well, I'd love to see that. I'd love to have the optimism that you have, but also, guys, I'm so happy for a big red win. Can we just sit here for a second and be glad? And also, while we're being glad, predict another 3 wins. I want that ball game, guys. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
I think we're basking in this victory, are we not?
Yeah. You know what the
Victory
best
Friday.
part is? We got to watch college football tomorrow.
Yeah.
We don't have to stress about any of it.
Exactly.
Unless we've got money on the games.
Right.
And know that, hey, Nebraska's not going to lose a game for another 13 days.
That's See, look at you bringing it
They're
all home.
guaranteed. Now, I'm not saying they will lose a game in 13 days. I'm
Yeah.
just saying they're guaranteed not to lose a game in the next 13.
Exactly. And that's the optimism that I love. DJ on Big Red Overreaction. Hey, DJ, what's up? DJ, are you there?
Hey, fellas. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I can't help but feel a little optimistic and thinking this sets up real nice for us. With the road win right before the bye week, and I think it sets up real well for the quarterback situation because now Jeff Sims gets another week to get healthy, another week to prepare for, let's face it, what's not a very good defense at home, and it's going to allow him to build some confidence for the second half of the season. I just think I don't know how you could watch tonight and come to any other conclusion that the quarterback, quote unquote, controversy is kind of dead and buried. God love Heinrich, plays hard, he runs hard. I love him lowering his shoulder in the safeties and linebackers, but he should have thrown 6 picks tonight. I know Jeff, he didn't play well the first 2 weeks, but the guy has put tape out there against Power 5 opponents where he can play football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're thinking 6, 7, maybe even 8 wins against this schedule, it's Sims and not Harbor. Unless you're really counting on going into the portal, Sims is your best bet going forward, even if you think you got something maybe for next year too, because I don't think Harbor has it. And that's not to say I don't love him. I don't love watching him play, but I think, when people talk about the quarterback controversy, it's got to be Sims going forward. And I think the bye week at home against let's say a bad opponent in Northwestern, that's just what he needs. And then one thought on the defense. I know everybody loves Tony White. I love Tony White, but it's not rocket science, man. They just tackle. They tackle so much better. And I think that stems from, as Matt Rule would say, you get better at football by playing football. They've been doing it since the spring. So thanks for taking my call, fellas.
Appreciate it, DJ.
Yeah, that was the tackling. That was something I was a little nervous about. They had a few misses against Louisiana Tech, but it didn't kill them. They had more against Michigan, and against a better team, it did. But tonight, they really tackled well again. And again, I think the way they covered some of those inside routes, the way they covered on Williams, basically took him out of the game. Yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with where this defense is. They're giving you a chance to win. That's all you can ask for out of this season, especially in year one. Great job by Tony White to install this new system, infuse some new talent with existing talent, and overcome some injuries.
Yeah.
Remember, they're down 2 safeties or 2 big defensive backs. Hopefully they'll get one back here in Buford in a few weeks. But Tony White has definitely been an MVP on this coaching staff. Excellent job so far this year.
Yeah, it's a major key. The tackling was a major key tonight. Also, when we were talking about offense too, and a lot of it in the first half. But the time of possession, if you're wondering, 37 minutes to 22, or 37:07 to 22:43, is a number that jumps off there too, with Nebraska out-possessing Illinois tonight as well. And again, those keys are brought to you by Rotella's Italian Bakery. The key to any tailgate is brat, dog, and burger buns from Rotella's Italian Bakery. All right, the final stretch. We're going to take one final break. We're going to come back and we're going to get your final calls here. So Ethan, Steve, Alan, Doug, you get the honors.
Did you say last call?
Last call with a ice-cold Coors Light, which, of course, Big Red Overreaction is presented by Coors Light. It keeps Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. So we'll get back to our final 4 calls here as we wrap things up. Nebraska victorious tonight, 20-7 over Illinois. They improved to 3-3. Big Red Overreaction wraps up right after this here on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. This fall, consider gutter guards to block debris and prevent clogs and save you the hassle of regular maintenance. Schedule a consultation today and let Jay Stennett Contracting's expert team and durable gutter guards ensure your gutters are working properly in every season. Jay Stennett Contracting. We have you covered. JSCRestoration.com. When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. This fall, consider gutter guards to block debris and prevent clogs and save you the hassle of regular maintenance. Schedule a consultation today and let Jay Stennett Contracting's expert team and durable gutter guards ensure your gutters are working properly in every season. Jay Stennett Contracting. We have you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
It's Big Red Overreaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Big Red Overreaction continues in 1 minute on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized solar air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy Systems provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more. Driving industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships, let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air systems today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
The Big Red Overreaction postgame show, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, and Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also sponsored by Dingman's Collision and Mechanical Repair on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg.
Gotta get rid of it. It's blocked by Nebraska. Out of bounds. And they will spot it at the 22-yard line. Another miscue by Illinois.
Big Red Overreaction presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, and brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center Mechanical Repair. Also by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Nick Hanley, John Bishop, and Chance Oliver with you. Our final segment here. We're going to get to our final calls as well. Rapid fire. Doug, you are one of our last callers. What do you got?
Hey, first of all, thank you guys for doing the show. Thank you for being here and doing a good job.
Thank you,
Appreciate you guys. No, and number two, shout out to the team. I mean, Illinois prides themselves on toughness, physicality, things like that. You know, the coach, he wants to be those things. He tried to be those things, and Nebraska pushed back. So 100% props on them. And the third point I'm going to make on the quarterback controversy, whatever you want to call it, I mean, they both have both Sims and Heiberg have their positives and negatives, their ups and downs, right? But my question is, has Rule taken into consideration the fact that Nebraska as a state, we appreciate this whole one of us thing and the whole toughness. And I mean, Heiberg he's a big guy. He's strong. He wants to hit somebody. He wants to let somebody. Sims, he's more of a finesse guy, but he has kind of those more talents that you can't really put a finger on. So but he also used a little more loose with the ball. Even on the national broadcast, they mentioned Heiberg when he was carrying the ball high and tight. You know, he was really protective, doing a good job. So, I mean, at what point do we consider, or does Rule consider, I should say, because it doesn't matter what any of us think in the end. At what point does Rule say, we're going to go with this? Because, I mean, honestly, as a state, that's kind of that's how we are. That's how we're inbred with this feeling of toughness and fight and, security and I don't know, and maybe resilience. Whereas Sims may be more flashy. He's more athletic, more everything you really want, but at the same time, he's more of a wild card. That's all I really have to say. So I'll let you guys go with that. But yeah.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate the call.
I mean, keep in mind, Nebraska's had flashy quarterbacks in the past, and they also had toughness,
right,
as well. The thing is, we've seen 2 games of Jeff Sims.
Yeah, and remember, Jeff Sims is kind of considered to be also a very aggressive runner. When he was at Georgia Tech, too, he was a guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
he'll take on contact.
Physically, he's as big as Harburg is. He's just not as tall.
Right.
So, and I thought Mark Helfrich had a good point tonight. There was the fumbled snap. There were times where he wasn't looking the ball in. Sometimes you take your eyes off of it. And I contend that a better defense probably picks off at least 2 more passes.
Agreed.
Tonight. Now, that's, again, not to say that Heinrich Harburg should be benched and never see the light of day again. That's not what I'm saying. But if you don't think that Jeff Sims won't see the field again at some point, and I believe he'll be back in some capacity for the Northwestern game, I think you're maybe overshooting your shot, because Jeff Sims will be back. Just listen to how Matt Rule has talked about him.
Yeah.
They didn't bring him in here and they didn't analyze him just to give him 2 shots at it and say, well, that's done, because unless this offense starts to show some progress.
Yes.
Sometimes you need to do a spark, and sometimes that spark is to make a change at quarterback.
Yep. All right, now down to our final 3 calls. Alan is up next on Big Red Overreaction. Hey, Alan.
Hey, boys, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I haven't listened all day, so I don't know if I'm going to repeat myself. So I apologize, but I had to make up for myself. A couple weeks ago, I called Harburg Harbog. If you guys remember that, few silver bullets in. So,
it happens.
What's the reaction been tonight? Has everybody been okay with it, or are people mad? What's going on tonight?
I think for the most part, people are reasonably happy with the result, understanding that there are warts, but are at the end of it are going to take the victory.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people, including myself, at sometimes are forgetting how bad we have been. Like, literally, that's not the type of game we win. Like, we all had that feeling, even when there was 4 minutes left, and we were up by 2 possessions. Like, that was the game we lose. So
Yeah.
I just think all I want to say is, like, let's just take the little victories where we can get them.
Heck yeah,
There's
Alan.
6 wins out there, maybe, if there's not, but let's just take what we could get and be happy with a little bit. I mean, let's celebrate something. That's all I got, boys.
All right. Appreciate it, Alan. Yeah. I mean, it's a win.
Honestly, tonight's show has been more positive than I thought it would be. I thought there'd be a little bit more anger, at least. I mean, sometimes we overestimate the power of social media, but just judging by some of the social media interaction, there were a lot of folks, and some of the folks in our YouTube comments were, pretty upset about how ugly things looked in the second half. But at least on this show, as far as what's been on the air, for the most part, I think it's been a little more positive than I would have anticipated. So I do think and I was a little surprised. We did a poll question earlier this week regarding, what record over the next 4 games would you consider like your baseline for acceptance? And a lot more people answered 2-2 than I thought. And I was heartened by that, in that, not that, people are settling for less, but that there is a healthy percentage of the fan base that is believing in patience. This is year 1, game 6 under Matt Rule. Year 1, game 6. There's a lot more to go.
Steve, you're up next on Big Red Overreaction. Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Love
Good.
the show.
Thank you.
I'm going to say just a few quick things here. One, enjoy the win, even if there were some frustrating aspects of it. 2, the defense is really starting to look like black shirts again in a lot of ways. 3, so far as people arguing that Sim should automatically become the starting quarterback again, I don't think he's shown anything that proves that he should be yet. Give him a chance, see what he can do later on, I guess. But 4, the one negative I want to talk about, this is just something that bothered me tonight, and it bothered me this whole season, is the way Matt Rule uses his timeouts or misuses them. He makes Riley look good at it. And I still think when he burned his final timeout in the second half there, that he actually ended up icing his own team. They were on a roll, they were in a rhythm, they never seemed to get back to it after that. I will hang up and listen. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've never been a fan, and I'm a fan of a pro football team and a coach who loves to use his timeouts because sometimes they take a little too long getting their plays in, or picking the perfect play, and sometimes you get a little too precise instead of just trusting your guys. And thankfully those timeouts, because as Illinois was driving on that last drive down 20-7, I thought, man, a timeout here might not be bad for this defense, because Illinois was starting to get a little bit of a rhythm, and they didn't have one in there. Fortunately, the defense came up with big stop, and it didn't matter. But those types of things will hurt you at some point down the road. So, yeah, I'm one that's not a big fan of using a lot of timeouts in that sense, unless it's really, really necessary. And it happened in the first half too. So, I'll hear that criticism.
I will too, and I'm also not going to pile that all on Matt Rule, because you could tell, I think on at least one of them, if there's not 2, he was frustrated they had to do it, and I think they were having some communication issues on the sideline as well, and that was like the only thing that they felt like they could do. But yeah, I think that is something that we have actually kind of seen throughout the year, where it's like, okay, keep your eye on that one for a little bit. Our final call. It's that time of the night. Last call, baby. Ethan, you get the final word on Big Red Overreaction, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Kind of to piggyback right off what you guys were just saying, I think Rule has kind of established that he wants the run game to be the identity. And honestly, Satterfield wants to believe it, but I think a lot of it is just a disconnect. And I think you can kind of tell just the frustration of the offense. You can always tell Matt Rule likes the run game, but I don't think it really translates very well with Satterfield's offense. Going back to South Carolina, just looking how he used Spencer Rattler and a lot of the things he did there. I mean, he was run heavy in some aspects, but I think it kind of bleeds over from last year with our offensive coordinator as well. But one negative that I've said, honestly, for a while is I guess this is probably a hot take, but Ben Scott's going to be our most penalized player at the end of the season. He just is very undisciplined, and I think him being a leader and having a lot of our senior leaders on the offensive line be so undisciplined, whether it's them yelling at our O-line or whatever. I was listening to the press conference and Matt Rule was just talking about that. But I think a lot of it just boils down to the fact of we're trying to establish our identity, and we have a lot of broken pieces that I think Matt Rule is going to continue to work through. But it'll be interesting to see how we end up finishing and how we use this bye week, because I know teams in the past, growing up, I've seen in the past like 6 years, we just wasted our bye weeks. We've said, hey, we want to use the healing and everything like that, but we honestly waste a lot of our bye weeks by letting the kids do whatever. I think I like the structure with Matt Rule, but it'll be interesting to see how the coaching staff handles it. So thanks for having me.
I appreciate it, Ethan. I will say that I don't know if Ben Scott's going to be the most penalized guy on that offensive line. Didn't like that personal foul.
No.
We've seen Turner Corcoran with some false starts as well, whether we're talking about the issue that was brought up tonight by Matt Rule with the disconcerting signals that he thought should have been called or not. All I know is that was a bad penalty. And those things, we know how those can be drive killers too. And so.
And especially with this offense.
Exactly. You got 100%. And that's where those things are amplified, when you've got already a limited offense to begin with. So we'll see. This is an interesting time, John, with the bye week coming up. And I know we're going to be talking about it. You guys are going to be talking about it, of what actually takes place, what this product looks like coming out of the bye week. Game number 7 against Northwestern now in 2 weeks. How will this team respond going in on a high note, going in at 3-3 as a 500 football team, and some very good opportunities in front of them? This is another chance to really gauge this coaching staff, because I think we kind of know the personnel right now. And the injuries are also going to be something to keep an eye on here in the next couple of days as well.
Yeah, bye week or idle week comes at a great time, and hopefully we get better news on Marcus Washington that we've gotten on others that, and I know Grant came back in, but he was dinged up. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he's okay. And, we'll take another step forward. But for the first time since 2016, Nebraska actually has a week off, and they'll have the victory glow about them for a few days, which is great. And the door is definitely open now to a bowl game. So let's see what they can do and enjoy it. And again, hey man, it's a Saturday off. You can watch all the college football you want stress-free and know that your team won.
Absolutely. And you know what? For us lowly Chicago Bears fans, all of our misery was the night before, even though it was a win.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm loosey-goosey this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, everything's cake now. The rest of the way, man. Victory Monday, victory Friday, victory Sunday, victory Saturday.
How about that? We're all
Congratulations.
winning.
That's awesome.
We're all
hey,
winning.
By the way, next in honor of the bye week or the idle week, next Friday, we're going to be at Omaha Roncalli for our annual trek to the best concession stand in the state. So stop on by 2 to 6, man. They are going to feed us well. And then Roncalli's got a big game that night. So
love it.
That's how we're going to spend our bye week, baby.
I love it. John, have a great rest of the night, my man. Good stuff as
always. You too, Nick. And hey, listen, we should all serenade Nick out the door. This is it. He made it. He made it through the Handley chunk. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
It was good stuff. My pleasure. And I'm 3-1. I'm going to take that. 3-1.
Yes, you are.
3-1 is good stuff right there.
You got more wins already than Damon had in 7 years. Wow.
Oh, good stuff. Big Red Overreaction again is brought to you by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill, Dingman's Collision Center, Mechanical Repair, and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. For John, I'm Nick and Chance. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Big Red Overreaction. Nebraska winner, 20-7. We'll talk to you starting at 6 a.m. all the way through 6 p.m. on Monday with full reaction from this and the weekend that was in college football. Have a good night.